Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, the topic that was assigned for me tonight is fear of Islam. Okay? But the exact terminology is Islamophobia. That is our topic for tonight. Now, Islamophobia, it is one of the sickness of the non-Muslims. So I have also suffered from this sickness before, 8 years ago when I was not yet a Muslim. Okay? To inform you and also to introduce myself, I was once a Christian. I was born a Christian and I grew up in a Christian environment. Okay? I was sent to school by the priest from my grade school up to my college days. So it happens that I meet truth, okay, when I read books about Islam. So I also have this sickness that I fear. I have this Islamophobia. What is Islamophobia? The definition, okay? We define Islamophobia as fear of Islam according to our posters, but actually it is an irrational fear, okay? It is a fear about Islam or fear and prejudice against Islam and the Muslims, okay? It is baseless. You cannot read it from the Islamic sources itself, but it is a fear, irrational and without proofs from the Quran and Hadith. So I also suffered from this sickness before. When I look at Muslims, I look at them as ignorant people. Okay, they are terrorists, they are criminals, they don't have any knowledge, that's why they remain Muslims. So Alhamdulillah, Allah has guided me to the right path and I discovered that Islam is indeed the religion that is only accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So again, our topic is Islamophobia. It is an irrational fear and prejudice against Islam and the Muslims. Okay, that is how non-Muslims feel towards us. When they see that we are Muslims, they are afraid inside. Okay, so Alhamdulillah, tonight we are going to explain and correct some misinformation or misconceptions about Islam. Inshallah, may Allah give us knowledge. So, when the non-Muslims look at the Muslims, they see that the Muslims are terrorists, okay? Al-Qaeda, Saddam Hussein, they remembered World Trade Center. Once I give a lecture in the Philippines, I ask the college students, if I say such word, what are the words that comes to your mind? For I say love, they say love, mercy, forgiveness. When I say Islam, they say terrorist. That's the first word that comes from their mind. And that is how the non-Muslim define Islam and see who the Muslims are. So for example, this is an Islamophobic person, okay? She said, despite what they may say, okay, no matter what they may say, Muslims are and have always been on a mission to conquer and kill infidels. LaShawn Barber is a famous writer, journalist in the US. And she also stated, they've been doing it for centuries and will continue until we're all dead, the Christians, non-Muslims, or they are all dead, or the world ends, whichever comes first. So she wrote numerous books stating that Islam is the religion for the terrorists, for the fundamentalists, for the atheists. She even have gone such far. Another famous writer, American lawyer, author, and political commentator, Ann Coulter stated, we should invade their countries, kill their leaders, the Muslims, okay, our leaders, and convert them to Christianity. Because they look at us as monsters, okay, criminals. So they fear about Islam and the Muslims. So I have featured two famous personalities in the US which also has this Islamophobia sickness. So what is the cause of Islamophobia? Why are the people, especially the non-Muslims who don't have who are not Muslims, why do they see Muslims as bad people? What is the main cause of Islamophobia? The main cause is, of course, lack of knowledge, both Muslims and non-Muslims alike. Lack of knowledge, okay? Because they don't have any idea about Islam. But this lack of knowledge or ignorance, to summarize, is not only for the Muslims, okay? But it's not only for the non-Muslims. We say that non-Muslims are ignorant of Islam. That is why they have fear of Islam or they have Islamophobia. But the problem is not only for the non-Muslim, but also for the Muslims as well. For example, we claim to be Muslims, but we do not know how to convey Islam to the people. We don't have knowledge about Islam. One time I asked a group of Muslims, I told them, what are the 6 articles of faith? They don't even know. Okay? What are the proofs from the Quran that Allah is the only God that we worship? Okay? That there is no God besides Him. What are the proofs from the Quran that zakah or salah is very important for the Muslim? It is obliged for the Muslim to pray 5 times a day. They can't even give proofs to support their faith. So, the main reason, we cannot blame the non-Muslims because they fear Islam. We should blame also ourselves because we took part of this misconception. Okay? We don't know about Islam, so we are acting as though we are outside of Islam. Okay? Our actions are not also based from the Quran and to the Sunnah. So, why can we blame the non-Muslims that they look as Muslims as bad people when the Muslims themselves cannot behave as true Muslims? Okay, so the problem actually, the cause of Islamophobia is not only lack of knowledge among the non-Muslims, but also among the Muslims as well. So, does Islam teaches killing? That is the first point. Because they say Muslims are terrorists. That is the first point, I think, that is very beneficial for us to clarify. Does Islam teach us killing? Please, we have to take note that not only Muslims, okay, are terrorists, but we also have non-Muslims who are also doing crimes against the people, right? For example, this is an incident of bombing in Norway. Okay, Vers Andre Breming Vivik was the name of the bomber. Okay, he killed 6 people in Norway. But that event or that bombing, when that bombing took place, they did not term he is a terrorist. Okay, he just committed something against the law. But if a Muslim commits like this, okay, all the Muslims will become terrorists. For example, this man, he is Timothy McVeigh, okay, in the Oklahoma bombing. Okay, one building in Oklahoma blasted and about maybe less than 100 people was killed. But he is not a terrorist for them because he is not Muslim. You see, the non-Muslims, when it pertains to the use of the word terrorist, it only refers to the Muslim. But if a non-Muslim commits a crime, he is exempted. He is just he just broken good law. Okay? So, and who is this? I know that all of us recognize this person. Who is it? Hitler, right? Hitler, compared to Saddam Hussein, if Saddam has killed thousands of people, Hitler killed millions of people. Okay, millions. For example, he has this doctrine or the theory of eugenics, if you are familiar. Eugenics is a theory for the Nazi race purification program. For example, if you are born blind, if you are born leper, or if you are born with, for example, you have 6 fingers, you see people like that, or if you are born deaf or just short, or your head is bigger than the measurement because they are measuring the head of the people. So if your head is bigger than the standard measurement, you are to be killed. Okay? That is the theory of eugenics. Why? Because Hitler believes that the Nazi race is the most perfect form or level of human evolution. He believes that the Aryan race, okay, the Nazi, they are the most perfect form of evolution. That is why, if you are blind, you should be killed because you will only slow down the process of evolution. For example, if a blind man marries a complete person, complete perfect, as they say, perfect man, then there is much probability that the son or their offsprings would be also blind. Okay, for example, a short man would marry a tall man, then there are probability that their children would be also smaller or dwarfs, okay, or nearest to the monkeys. So they will be killed. Okay, that is the theory of eugenics. Okay, in order to continue the rapid process of evolution, he is killing men with some difficulties in their humanity, in their features. So if compared to the Muslim, okay, let's say Saddam Hussein or any other, he killed many more. Okay, maybe times 100 people, okay, than any other Muslims in the history. So Hitler, for them, is not a terrorist. Can you read book that Hitler is a terrorist? No. But again, terrorism is only applied for Islam and the Muslims. So in the Quran, does Islam teach us